as far as like money, which that's where my mind was starting my business, I was like, okay, spend money to make money. I need money, 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 money. That's the resource. So I didn't have a lot of money for my like factors of production or anything like that.
Welcome to the Revolution of One podcast, where the revolution will not only be televised, but also individualized.
Today's guest is Anton Traverso. Anton is a graduate of Youth Entrepreneurs and the founder of New Art Apparel. Today we're going to talk about his entrepreneurial journey, how he came up with his business ideas, how he dealt with failures and obstacles along the way, and his advice to other young entrepreneurs on how they can execute their ideas. Anton, thanks for joining me. Anton, where were you when you first heard about YE?
So junior at South Carolina High School, just starting out with my entrepreneurship class. Because my sophomore year, I remember I did marketing principles, and I was like, marketing's cool. I learned, but I was like, I want to be an entrepreneur. There's an entrepreneurship class over there. So next year, junior year, I signed up for entrepreneurship. I went into my entrepreneurship class. And at this point, I already had my business for a couple of years. And I was talking about it with my teacher, surprisingly, because I'm going to let you know I hate talking about myself most of the time. But I brought up the courage, and I was like, I have this business, and I'm trying to take it somewhere. What could I learn in this class? What could help me? And my teacher, Ms. Thompson, told me about Youth Entrepreneurs, which honestly... It was the greatest thing she could ever told me about. Yeah.
Well, let me say this. Don't feel too bad about not enjoying the experience of talking about yourself very much, because I'll tell you, at this age and stage, it's really easy to talk about entrepreneurship without actually doing anything. So if anything, you've got this process in the right order. You're working very hard. You have your own business. You've been doing so, I believe, for 3 years. So if you had to choose between those two things, it's better to be a doer than a talker. So a little something to keep in mind. Yeah. When you joined Youth Entrepreneurs, what was that experience initially like for you?
Initially, it was just straight growth. Because as I was saying, the first 2 years of me having my business, I was doing stuff within my school. But Youth Entrepreneurs is like widening the scope. So within my school, that was my whole market. I was selling to students, I was selling to my peers, and that worked well half of the time. But it's a big school, 2,000 students, but my reach, like relatively, that was small for me. And especially with the kind of people that I was trying to sell to, and people, young people get bored easily. And it was like, I would let out a product, they'd be like, oh man, this is so cool, everybody's talking about it, hey, check this out. And then the next day they're like, who are you? What are you doing? So coming into Entrepreneurs, it was just really eye-opening to the possibilities that I could really have with my business, because before, resources seemed limited to me. And then Youth Entrepreneurs, opening those doors, giving those opportunities, allowed me to see myself branching out into a bigger market, making more sales, actually growing.
Expound on that. Resources seem limited to me. Like, what did that mean for you at the time?
So my business I had started by myself, and I was doing it by myself. So
and how old were you at this time?
About 15.
Okay.
And as far as like money, which that's where my mind was starting my business, I was like, okay, spend money to make money. I need money, 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 money. That's the resource. So I didn't have a lot of money for my like factors of production or anything like that. So at the end of the day, I found myself very often discouraged, with a lot of difficulties, can't afford this, can't afford that. And the wider scope of things that Youth Entrepreneurs presented to me about being able to get things out of relationships and get things out of networking and trying like different styles of marketing, and just that there was so much more that I could do other than just focusing on the money. So in my mind, resources were limited, but realistically, there was a much bigger perspective that I was missing out on before I started with entrepreneurs, youth entrepreneurs.
What's an example for you of maybe one relationship or one experience where that really clicked for you? Like, man, this is something that's so valuable to me, even though I can't, describe it in monetary terms.
I would say the first time youth entrepreneurs invited me to go somewhere and do something with them, and they said, look, we're gonna pay for everything. They said, you're gonna have lodging, you're gonna have food, you're gonna have this, you're gonna have that, you're gonna get to meet these people, you're gonna get to do these things, and you don't have to pay a dime. All you have to do is sign up for it and be yourself. Okay. So that, that had to be it. Yeah.
Yeah. Tell me about New Art. I see the shirt you've got on. Tell me about that.
So New Art is pretty much a fashion and apparel business that I have based as a social enterprise. So what I do is I create original designs, clothing designs that are ready to wear. So like hoodies, sweatshirts, t-shirts, and stuff like that. And I sell those items and market those items in a way that is creatively unique. So to give you some more information on that, each item has a concept behind it. So when I'm marketing that item, those concepts kind of become the definition of that product. So when it comes time for a customer to think about purchasing something from New Art, before they purchase it, they find out what it's about, the meaning behind it, before they buy it, as if it was like a work of art. So as far as the social enterprise aspect, a lot of the stuff that we do are events and social activities that help people to see the products as that work of art that I was explaining. So if we were to have a showcase or a pop-up shop, we would treat that as coming into a museum and viewing artwork. And the items that you would purchase would be the art that you're investing in.
So the items are, I don't know what I'm gonna get until I go to the shop. And it's not like I can just order a polo and say, put this logo on it or something. Nope. You have, just like walking into an art gallery, you have independent pieces, and I decide if I wanna buy that piece.
And there's new pieces every other month.
And what type of clothing?
So mostly ready-to-wear clothing, hoodies and sweatshirts and stuff like that. But just to give you a little bit more information, some details, one of the items that we did, it was called Spotlight, was the name of the design. And it was kind of simple. It said New Art on it, and it had like a spotlight, a logo that like resembled a spotlight. Yeah. And it was simple, but actually the way that we creatively expressed it is what made it to be more. So originally, a consumer of a fashion product would look at something like that and say, okay, I think that looks cool. I like the colors. I like the design. I want to buy it. But we take it one step further by adding a concept to it. So Spotlight, we did a campaign where we took individual people who had stories that we felt needed to be heard. We brought them into a studio space and we recorded each of their individual stories and shared that on our social media while they were wearing the t-shirt. So essentially what we were doing was putting each of those individuals in the spotlight and applying that concept to the t-shirt that each and every individual, when put in the spotlight, has a very interesting story to tell and has something to express. So after we did that, it was like, that's when the sales started rolling in. Yeah. When I first showed people that shirt, they didn't really understand what it was. But then when we did that marketing campaign, people were like, this is so cool. And then that's what got them interested.
I love that concept too, man, that we all are in some sense worthy of the spotlight, not in the sense of being entitled to fame, but we all have a light that's a light that shines. And a big part of life is learning how to embrace that. For you seem like you know your story and you seem like you have the confidence of one who knows that he has value.
Thank you.
What do you say to peers or people younger than you who feel like, yeah, but Anton's, a genius and it's easy for him, but I don't know if I really have anything to offer this world?
Honestly, I always try to inspire. I feel like if I'm not inspiring or motivating my peers and other people to be the best versions of themselves, what am I doing? And that's a large reason of what even made me want to start my business. I'm interested in fashion, but I'm also interested in people. I love people. I love to motivate people, and I love what people are capable of. So that's where the social enterprise came in. But to those people, I just really try to do whatever I can to get them to really just go for their ambition, because when it comes to having an ambition, it can be really scary.
Yeah.
To say, okay, I want to go and do this, but of course there's always going to be a risk.
Yeah.
And taking risk isn't something that's easy to do. So with my business, I definitely want to take that and make it easier by allowing people to incorporate themselves more. So, and actually speaking of incorporation, intercommunication is something that I like to focus on a lot. So talking to people, figuring out what they want to do, and getting them to take that to the next level is what I would allow people to do with my business. So products that we create, I try to get as many people with certain talents to do that stuff with me. And that's a business model that I feel like goes back to the original idea of what a corporation is supposed to be. Nowadays, corporations are like, okay, shareholders, you're making money because we're making money, and it's simple as that. I try to help other people who have ambitions such as photography. Maybe they want to be a model, maybe they also want to be, in fashion design and stuff like that. And I don't really want to say like kind of bring them under my wing or anything like that, but I try to work with them in a way that we are a corporation, in the way that we share resource and talent, not just in the way that we share profit.
And I'm sure the work you do with YE kind of helps facilitate a lot of those opportunities for connecting people. Yeah. So you're a graduate now. So do you do like mentorship to newer students? How does that work once you graduate the program? What's next?
So really what's next right now is finding new people with new talents and new ambition. And as soon as I find those people, it's really like the most exciting thing to me. Sometimes I feel like I kind of bombard people, be like, call me now, I have to talk to you. And I'll answer the phone, I'll say, okay, this is what you can do this, you can do that, you can do that. And like I said, I feel like I'm pressuring them, but I have had people come back to me and say, thank you. Thank you for telling me that I could do this and that I could do that, and opening my eyes to these possibilities just as YE has opened my eyes to those kind of same possibilities. So I guess in a way with my business, I'm taking like the chance of opportunity that I've been given through Youth Entrepreneurs and giving it to my peers as well through my own business.
All right, there was a story you and I talked about earlier. I think you were first launching New Art, and you had an important deadline to meet. You had some T-shirts that you needed to order. I want you to share this with our viewers.
So, about the first year of my business, and I have a collection that I'm trying to release in August, and that deadline is set. I'm excited. As an artist, I get overexcited. As an artist and as an entrepreneur, it's two different personalities and they clash all the time. So as an entrepreneur, I'm supposed to be planning this. I'm supposed to be making sure this goes well, executed properly, so that I can create the value I need to create. And as an artist, I'm like, oh, these creative ideas, they're flowing, my creative juices. I'm just ready to put it out into the world. And that part of me that got overexcited was like, okay, promote, put this out here. As soon as I had images of the kind of stuff I was creating, post. Everybody, check this out. This is coming next month. I'm going to have it, right? So those products that I was promoting, I ordered them. Now, at this point, I'm trying to figure out how to marginalize my profit with my business. So I'm considering ordering overseas, and that's what I do. I order the items that I plan on selling from Korea. And they come in about like less than a week before I need to release. I see the box, I'm excited, I'm opening up. I'm like, Mom, look, I got my stuff, check it out. Open it up, take it out. I basically have clothing for like toddlers. And mind you, I ordered small, medium, large, extra large. That's what I was planning on selling. That was my size range. And everything I got was like small, extra small, super small. That's it. Nothing that anybody that I knew could even fit. And it was a crash and burn. I was like, dang. I really had to take a step back and think, what do I do now? Because I promised all these people all this cool stuff. And at this point, people have somewhat of a faith in my business. And I tried something different and it didn't work out. So I'm thinking like, man, what am I gonna do? How am I gonna recover from this? This is like a complete failure. And I start falling into a little bit of a pit. But as I'm doing that, I have this kind of what would you call it? Like an epiphany. And I'm like, you know what? It's not the end of the world. I can figure this out. I can work through this. And I start looking at it from a different perspective. You know, at this point, people are losing faith in my business. They're like, I don't know. You said you were gonna release these products. I didn't get them. I don't know what's going on. I did my pre-orders, this and this and that. And, you know, I'm having to give people their money back, all sorts of stuff like that. And I'm like, okay, this is terrible. But what can I do to make this less terrible? And as soon as I started thinking that way, and a lot of the time it's really just that, a change of mindset that could really take you to the next level. Once I start thinking that way, I'm like somebody who just had a breakdown and is like cutting their hair off or something. I'm completely changing the way that I'm seeing my business. I decided to scrap my logo. I start a completely new logo. I restart my Instagram, my social medias, all of that. I get a new website, all that kind of stuff. And that entire reboot had me reconstruct my business in a way that I feel like allowed it to be more successful as it is to this day than previously to me making that mistake.
So you think you're better off than you would have been had you not made that mistake?
Yep. Mm-hmm.
Anton, people want to know more about New Art. Where do they go?
So they can follow me on Instagram at newart_apparel, or they can visit my website at newart-apparel.squarespace.com. That's what it is, Squarespace.
Man, I find your story so inspiring. Any parting words you want to share with other young people out there that are looking to motivate themselves to act on their entrepreneurial ideas?
I started off talking about people and how much I love people. I know a lot of young people, you know, they have their social groups and the people that they enjoy talking to, you know, people that they may not enjoy talking to. At the end of the day, I feel like politics can be very important. And not politics in the way that you think about, like, you know, the president or Congress or anything like that, but politics more in like the relationships you create. I know a lot of people can and do see value in those things. And at the end of the day, if you want to start a business, if you want to do a business, 100% of your business is going to be your customer, and 100% of your customers are going to be people. So all those people that you know, all those people that you may not like, you know, try and find a way to interact with people in a way that they can understand where you're coming from with your entrepreneurship, and you can understand where they're coming from as a customer. And that'll be the best way for you to take that first step towards being a really good entrepreneur, in my opinion.
Words to the wise. Thanks, Anton.
Thank you.
Thanks for tuning in to this week's episode with Anton Traverso. If you'd like to follow Anton, you can check him out on Instagram.com/newart_apparel. And be sure to follow us on Instagram as well, Instagram.com/feeonline. Check us out on the web at fee.org/rev1 for articles, weekly Monday motivational videos, and our monthly YouTube videos. Speaking of YouTube, subscribe to us there, youtube.com/feeonline. And don't forget to subscribe to the podcast on iTunes, Google Play, and Spotify. Be sure to leave a review. Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.